Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees regular meeting, Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Could we all please rise and pay our respects to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Noting of the roll.
Noted, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Colvin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 5, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with a change to the minutes from Treasurer Ferrari signing it to Supervisor Curtis.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Nold. Are there any questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6, public comment on items not on the agenda. Any public want to comment on any items that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, item number 7, first reading. Item 7A, water ordinance 105B.010, connection to water system. Let me handle that one. We aren't speaking of. Attorney Alice, are you available to speak on the
I am.
water ordinance, please?
Yes, good
Thank you.
evening, board. How are you all?
Well,
All right. So this is before you tonight because we want to bring our ordinance into compliance with the county's requirements for well abandonment. It's a little high for me. Basically, the county will approve a permit if there is no potable water system for a resident to connect to. Otherwise, if there's not a potable water system, they'll allow them to put in a new well. So basically, our ordinance was requiring them to connect for any reason, sorry about my voice, I'm a little sick, requiring them to connect anytime a well failed. That was our previous ordinance. Now the ordinance states that they can still drill a new well if there is no abandonment of the well. So please let me know if you have any questions on that. It's just a general cleanup.
okay, board have any questions? I'll entertain.
Yes.
Would you define
John Noel, go ahead.
abandonment, well abandonment, please?
Yes. So under the ordinance, we've adopted the county standards for well abandonment, which is why your prior definition section has been amended. So those a well is considered abandoned if the following conditions are met. The well has had its use permanently discontinued. The well is in such disrepair that its continued use for the purpose of obtaining groundwater is impractical. The well has been left incomplete for over a 90-day period, or the well is a threat to groundwater resources. And if it's eligible for issuance of a replacement, if it's not eligible for issuance of a permit for a replacement well from Oakland County Drain Commissioner. It must meet that requirement and then one of the 4 requirements to be eligible for an abandonment.
So let's put it in residential terms. My well in my front yard is there, it goes bad. It's not pumping right, the well man said I need a new well. If I meet Oakland County requirements for issuing a well permit, I can put a well in.
That is correct.
Now what gets sticky is that if we have, where available, Oxford Township supplied water, how do we handle that?
So are you asking me that if there's Oxford supplied water and the well has failed, if we could require mandatory connection?
That's correct.
You can require mandatory connection if the well does not meet the requirements for Oakland County for a new well permit. Otherwise, you cannot require mandatory connection if they're eligible for a permit through the county.
So,
One of those requirements is we have areas that are affected by a plume. You don't want, Oakland County doesn't, the health department doesn't want you drilling a new well where there's a plume. So then you would have to hook up to the water there. But I think John's question is, Brittany, if my well goes out and I have water in front of my house, do I have to hook up to the water? Or can I go in, if I meet the standards of Oakland County Health, I can still drill a new well?
That's correct. If you meet the requirements of Oakland County,
That's
you
your
can still
question,
drill a
okay.
well.
yes, so when you use words in here, where practical, in your writings, that means you meet the requirements of Oakland County, and if you meet those requirements, they can issue a well permit. It's totally up to the homeowner. If they have, I'm gonna use the term Oxford water as city water on the front, and a well, they could hook up to it as, if they desire, to city water, Oxford water, or they could go and hook up to their own well if they meet the requirements of Oakland County.
That's correct. And the standards adopted in this ordinance adopt the same standards Oakland County has.
Correct.
Really, this ordinance amendment was just to bring us into compliance with Oakland County's permitting requirements.
And one of the things I appreciate in here is when you talked about the arsenic issues with some of the areas within the township, that's becoming more evident as in this document than what it was before. Thank you.
Rod, did you have, Trustee Charles?
No, I'm glad John asked those questions. It comes up in the neighborhood. So,
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
I move to approve the first reading of the amendments to the Oxford Township Utilities Ordinance, sections 62-31 and 62-36, and direct the township clerk to publish said ordinance in accordance with state law. Hereby set the second reading of said ordinance amendments for February 8th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari and a second by Trustee Payne. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes,
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
And Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Okay. Item 7B, zoning ordinance 67A.030, text amendments. Clerk Wright?
Yes, up for our first reading is the long-winded version of the zoning ordinance amendments to 67A. It's labeled 67A.030. And I'm just speaking for myself, and as I read through the planner's letter, which is about 7 pages, and about 50 more pages of the zoning ordinance amendments, to me, become quite confusing of what we're trying to adopt here. So for me, we've even had Attorney Ellis do the review on it, and I'm sure she could probably speak maybe the same thing what I'm saying. So my recommendation to this board is to actually table this zoning ordinance amendment till a future meeting until we can actually get a better handle on what we're talking about here.
Because we send it back to the ordinance review committee then?
No, I
I
think,
don't think so.
I think through conversation, Treasurer Ferrari, this is a big ordinance review. And to get it and try and review it for 4 days, including the weekend, was quite hard to do for more than just myself, Clerk Wright. I saw some other heads nod. We need a little time to digest all these. Attorney Ellis had presented a paper today going through some of that stuff, and all of a sudden, we had more questions. So tabling it for 30 days won't cause any problems or concerns, will it? Trustee Knowles, I know you're on that
no,
committee.
we're on the committee. There's a group of this is actually the second reading for this. But the property setbacks, the regulation, barrier-free, handicap zones and homes and things, that's easy. When we get down into planned unit development and the commercial planned unit developments, which is first of all, it's new to the township and it's very lengthy. I have no problem with stepping back, tabling this and having a relook.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I'll second that, or third, as the case may be. It makes sense to take our time and do it right.
okay. All right, so I had a motion by Treasurer Ferrari. Oh, I thought I heard you.
No, that was on the last one. I'll
Okay.
make a motion to table the second reading, possible adoption, amendments to the Charter Township of Oxford zoning ordinance 67A,
Second?
Okay, I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari to table, second by Trustee Nold. Are there any questions? Roll call?
Treasurer Ferrari,
Yes.
Trustee Noel,
Yes.
Trustee Payne,
Yes.
Trustee Colvin,
Yes.
Trustee Charles,
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes, and Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Item 8A, Fire Department. Chief, I can call you that now.
Yes, sir.
Welcome aboard, your first meeting.
Thank you.
Finance manager's salary for 2023.
Right, as I, had forwarded on the evaluation and the paperwork to Clerk Wright, I was made aware of an error this week, that I missed, that I did not know that the town hall employees' holidays had changed from previously, and I did not know about that, so we did not take that into account. So, other than that, we could do an addendum to her contract, along with the wage increase, if that would be okay with the board.
Well, now I have a question. Can we approve the salary so that it's paid, or do we go back and retroactive her salary once we review and approve her contract? Or do we wait? Go ahead, Clerk Wright.
Just speaking for myself, I would go ahead and approve the salary, but what I would do is bring back an amended agreement for the February meeting.
Okay.
You would have all the dates in there and all that.
Yeah, when I'd exchanged some emails with Clerk Wright, he'd asked about redoing a contract, and when I reviewed her current contract, there were no expiration dates listed, so we just felt it would be fine to have just a continuation of her current labor contract and just change the wage, because the wage was the only item that was in the contract that mentioned, changes moving forward. So nothing else was changing in her work conditions that I knew of, but there was a change in the township holiday with the floating holiday. So
Yes, Clerk Wright.
To me, it's not necessarily convoluted, but it is different in the sense that you have an employee that's at will.
Right.
You're still requiring them to have a contract. And one of the disadvantages somewhat is that this contract renews on January 17th. So it'd be a lot cleaner if it could be moved up to like a calendar year basis for payroll purposes and those types of things too.
Yeah.
But maybe with Attorney Ellis here, is it even necessary that this individual has an agreement?
That's what I was under the impression, because I felt that nothing was changing, as she was at will. Once we took effect, then everything was in place until we changed the wages. And, I guess that would be a better question for the attorney, is whether we actually need to do an annual contract or just, she's under contract and
There was no expiration.
there were,
of the contract, right.
there was no expiration dates listed in the contract whatsoever.
The things that were misplaced were the number of days off.
Because there was a change within this last year.
Yep.
Within the township, yes.
So we can approve the salary as recommended by the fire chief, and we can look for an addendum to this contract with the new holidays. Yes,
And then what you do is you just insert that salary, if approved here tonight, into that agreement.
Yeah, and what I'd like to do then, if we're going to do that, I'd like to have it then, change the dates to a January 1, right? So that everything would fall in line moving forward, if that would be okay with everybody.
and a holiday, that's the two.
Yep.
Yes, Clerk Wright.
Well, with this motion, though, you have January 17 date, so you're gonna have to figure out how that salary would be effective then.
Can you not make the motion to say effective January 1st?
Well, in the memo that I had sent to you, that I said the wage would take effect upon approval by the board. So that's, if you approve tonight, then her wage can take effect tonight, and we'll go from that point forward. I think that would be the cleanest.
Yeah.
And then have the contract come back.
Then we don't have to worry about a retro, and Lindsay was aware of this going forward too, so.
So the two things we'd look for in the amendments to the contract would be the effective date and the holiday corrections.
Yes,
So we'll look for those addendums, and you can make the motion effective January 1st for the salary. Our payroll will continue with no interruption.
Okay, and then, one other thing is, I believe there's already been one payroll at the previous rate, so that had to be amended as well. on that.
Well, if that's what the board wishes, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve, change the annual wage for the fire department finance manager from $58,300, $64,130, effective January 1st, 2023.
Second that?
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Noel. Are there any questions? Roll call?
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
And Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
the salary will be adjusted in the next check to make up for January automatically.
Yes.
We'll take care of that.
Report back to us on that.
Chasing cash, yes.
Tried to get away.
And no, just so we're all aware that you will be presenting us a proposed new agreement for.
I will, yes, I will.
for February.
I'll actually, we'll just redo the contract and clean it up to meet everything so it's done right. Yes, absolutely.
Correct.
And and I'll get it to you for the February meeting.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Super.
Yep, no problem.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Moving on. In your item 9, Sharp Engineering Report, board members, as requested in the last meeting, we were just going to accept a written update on all the projects going on in the township. We won't ask Engineer Sharp to step up and read it off, but were there any questions of Engineer Sharp in the operations, things we have moving forward? Yes,
I
Treasurer.
think this is really well done. I'd like to have it put on our website. So you have to, what's going on in the township with the website?
That's very good, because one of the things later on down about item number 11D, we're gonna talk about that.
Because some communities will do that, they'll put the project on their websites, people
Yep.
can look in and say, oh, what's going on? They're not reading on social media going, what's going on there?
Would you like for that, is this still gonna be an agenda item then, or are you gonna take it off the agenda on future meetings?
No, we're gonna leave it on the agenda, because if we have questions, or there are questions that pertain to the public knowing about it, we may ask for them. Are you looking to get out of a meeting, Engineer Sharp?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
just
just wanna know
checking
when
there.
this is due, so I will make sure that I have it, on the proper day, so that it can
It's
be
just so fun to
inserted
be
in the
with you,
township
so thank you.
report. Understand that? All right, thank you.
Item 10, unfinished business. We're gonna call it Trustee Nold. Item 10A, amended single waste hauler RFP for Oxford Township.
The committee's been working very hard. We have met informally and formally in regards to the waste hauler RFP. We had some feedback from different folks in regards to that. We have made 3 changes in the RFP. One of them is website support from the trash hauler, the selected trash hauler. The second one is compliance with all federal and state and local law ordinances. And the third one is 2 options on the bidding process: direct billing quarterly to the residents by the trash hauler, or direct billing to the township. So we can look at the numbers when it comes about. I'd like to move that we approve the amended request for proposal for solid waste recycling and yard waste collection, transportation, and disposal services as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Trustee Nold and a second by Trustee Payne. Are there any questions? Trustee Charles.
John, when I went through this, I noticed there was a significant price difference between different communities that you were benchmarking, such as Davis and et cetera, on the billing. Is that something you wanna, is it anything you've learned about this billing cycle, like per month or annually? I think Davison does it annually. Is
Yeah,
there some pros and cons?
That was a letter that I wrote to Jim Fryer, consultant, and through my travels of the community, I just decided to ask the leaders how their waste program is going. And this was some informal documents that I put together to get an idea what we would start seeing as numbers here at the township, as well as put a benchmark on their billing process. That's the big item to discuss. It could be a substantial savings in regards to who does the billing. So that's why I decided that we needed we needed to look into that to see our options. That's why we're expanding the RFP.
Okay, but my question is there anything that you learned about an annual billing or monthly billing that came up?
Not Not necessarily. Some communities chose the annual billing. It works very well for them. Some communities have done, has it billed monthly along with their water and sewer bills, so they can capture any complaints they have about water and sewer, about any leaks or anything in the household, so they can capture those prices and for preventive maintenance. So a lot of the things have different meanings for different communities.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Treasurer Furr?
Yes.
Okay. Item 10B, replacement of chairs for the board meeting room. Supervisor Curtis, and I'm not exaggerating. Board members at a previous meeting, we approved the purchase of 15 chairs not to exceed a total cost of $3,500. After investigation, Trustee Nold and I found that the cost of quality chairs and chairs that meet all standards as recommended, the cost is much higher than anticipated. We found a style of chair that we believe will be suitable for both the Board of Trustees and other bodies that utilize this room for the meeting. Attached quote from National Business Furniture, as well as a photo of the proposed chairs in your package. General fund money will be used to pay for 10 of the chairs. The remaining 5 chairs on the purchase will be purchased via the sheriff fund. The salvage of the old chairs in this room, parts and pieces will be utilized from the good chairs to make good chairs and be utilized in the sheriff's cafeteria break room. Some of these chairs should be thrown away. Some of them may have good wheels, some have bad wheels, so we're gonna kind of hodgepodge and make the best ones we can.
I move to approve the purchase of 15 chairs from National Business Furniture, NBF, totaling $9,206.55, with 10 chairs being paid for through the general fund account 101-265-976.000 additions and improvements, and 5 chairs expense to police fund account number 207-302-976.000 additions and improvements.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne, and I see a question.
Yes, what about the small conference room? Are you replacing those chairs as well?
Not at this time we were.
Okay, they need it.
I noticed.
11D.
Those were in the basement on Burdick Street.
I have an answer. Joe just helped me. 11D.
Oh, well, I don't see that as a capital improvement, that's
Well,
just.
the table in that room, all the veneers turning off.
I know,
ripped
I've caught my
pants
sweater
off.
on it several
Yep.
times.
So, capital improvements, we'll get to those. I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne. Were there any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Noel?
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
And Treasurer Furr?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes.
Okay, item 11A. I'd like to first introduce Alexa Stenard, if you'd stand up, please. Alexa is the field representative and right-hand person for Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin. And tonight, CJ, if you will, we'd like to present Congresswoman Slotkin a resolution honoring her for all the hard work she did in our community. I'm sorry to say.
Whereas U.S. Representative Alyssa Slotkin served Michigan's 8th Congressional District, which includes Oxford Township and Village, with honor, integrity, and dedication from January 3rd, 2019 to January 2nd, 2023. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin has consistently proven herself to be an effective and compassionate leader, a good listener, a thoughtful decision maker, a hard worker, and a class act. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin's efforts to foster an atmosphere of collaboration and cooperation have helped make northern Oakland County a better place to live, work, play, and visit. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin worked closely with Oxford Township to secure $374,696 in federal community project funding for the construction of a much-needed 5,100-foot safety path along North Oxford and Ray Roads. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin's dogged pursuit of this community project funding will result in the creation of a safe, accessible, and direct evacuation route for students and staff in the event that the Oxford High School building and grounds are deemed unsafe. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin's success in obtaining community project funding will give Oxford Township another shared use path to serve the recreation, fitness, and transportation needs of walkers, runners, cyclists, and mobility device users. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin and her staff provided numerous resources, valuable guidance, immeasurable help, and unwavering moral support to local officials and the community following the November 30th, 2021 tragedy at Oxford High School. And whereas Congresswoman Slotkin has been a great asset and a true friend to the people of Oxford. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees wishes to express its sincere gratitude to Congresswoman Slotkin for everything she has done for our community and the 8th Congressional District as a whole. Congresswoman Slotkin has always been there for us. We greatly appreciate her sincere desire to work for the betterment of all, and we thank her for her exemplary service. She was always welcome in Oxford Township.
Thanks, you guys. I'm very sorry she can't be here. She is very sorry that she cannot be here. I have my phone here with me so I can record this so that she can hear the beautiful words. Obviously, I'll hand this to her and she'll read it, but listening to it read out loud is really gratifying. You know, it has been a pretty incredible honor for us and for the Congresswoman to be able to serve and help the people of this community and to get to know the people of this community. And obviously we were here, you know, in around Oxford prior to everything that happened last fall, but have been here a lot more since then. And I will say that though the district lines changed in the last election, and that we are not officially your congressperson anymore, we are here for you into perpetuity, and hope that you will always feel like you can reach out to us. The community just has a place in our hearts forever, and it has been very gratifying for us to be able to do some things like occasionally direct some funding your way. Sometimes that's your highest and best use as a federal official, is just to aim some money in the right direction and to be able to help you guys in any way possible, but in particular with some of those concrete needs, is great. And we look forward to watching the safety path develop, and to trying to be an ongoing resource for you guys as you continue to try to figure out how to move forward in the best way possible. So, thank you.
No, thank you, and I have one other thing. You'd mentioned to me that Congresswoman Slotkin may be able to visit us.
Yes, so we are aiming, she will be in, she's in DC right now voting, right? Next week,
The 20th?
she is in town, and we are aiming to have her for a visit, hopefully, that morning. If it works for you guys, we'd love to bring her by and say hi, and yeah, she'd love to see
I would
you.
encourage, if you're available, Monday morning, or Friday, the
Friday the
20th.
20th is when we're
Yeah.
aiming to do that. In the
January
morning, probably
20th,
like right
Friday.
at 9-ish, I think, because I think she has a wedding that night that she has to get to, so it's a bit of a tight day, but we're aiming to get here by, when your doors open that morning. We'll have to, and we won't be rushed, but
So once I get it cemented and solid, I'll pass that on to everybody so they can come and say hi.
she'd love to.
Okay, 5-minute recess. We'd like to take a picture with the resolution with the whole board.
Yes.
Oh, wait. No, we're not.
I move to approve the resolution in honor of U.S. Representative Alyssa Slotkin as presented.
I second that.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Charles. Roll call, please.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes, and Supervisor Curtis.
Yes. Okay, now we're gonna take 5 minutes. We're gonna take a snapshot with Alexa on the resolution so that we can all say thank you. What? 15 minutes? Oh, yeah, 2 minutes, oh, I call a 5-minute recess. You guys practice your speech. a second. Okay, item 11B, assignment and/or transfer of management for 925 Legacy Entertainment liquor license. Supervisor Curtis. Board members, on March 21st, 2018, an agreement was signed with the Township and 925 Lapeer Legacy Entertainment LLC for their liquor license. 925 Legacy Entertainment is requesting the Township Board approval to assign and/or transfer the management of their liquor license. 925 Lapeer Legacy Entertainment will retain ownership of the liquor license. Attached in the package is the agreement regarding the liquor license between 925 Legacy Entertainment and the Charter Township of Oxford, which provides the opportunity for the Township Board approval. So what I want to do tonight is I'd like to call up and introduce the two gentlemen that are going to be in receivership of the transfer should this board elect to approve transfer and/or assignment, and that is Chris and Jason Galea. Would you guys come up? I'd like the board to meet you. If you would, please tell us a little story about the business you guys operate throughout the state of Michigan and what you're going to provide the Charter Township of Oxford and what you want us to do for you.
Sounds good. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for having us and the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight. My name is Jason Galea. This is my brother, Chris Galea. Our business is G's Pizzeria. If you're familiar with us, just down the road on 24 in Lake Orion, we've been in that community for 15 years. But our family has been in this business for for 40 years this year as we celebrate that monumental anniversary for our group. Chris and I were born and bred in the business.
So to speak.
Yeah. And we are just so excited to be coming into Oxford. And as we continue to embed ourselves in this community further and further in kind of the work that we're doing with Legacy 925 right now, meeting new families, employing new employees, it's daunting and it's absolutely incredible just to see how rich community and family is in Oxford. I've known about it. I live in the Goodrich area, just very close. I have a lot of friends that are in this area. Chris lives right here in Oxford. And just to actually finally meet families, finally shake hands and start to introduce ourselves around town has just been an incredible experience. And our hope and anticipation is to elevate the experience that was 925 Kitchen Bar and Grill to G's Pizzeria Bar and Grill. We're super excited to be a part of the Oxford community, to grow with you all, and just to meet you today has been fantastic. So we're very excited on that regard.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions? Yes, Treasurer Ferrari.
Will it be another G's, like in Orion, or a different concept?
Yes, sir. It'll be G's Pizzeria Oxford.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Trustee Charles.
Connected to the G's in East Tawas?
Exactly. Yep. That's our uncle that runs that one. Our family originally started in West Branch, and then East Tawas, and that's where we're
We're
from.
from West Branch, yep.
Oh, okay.
So we have
And then-
8 all
That's where I
family
was at.
owned and operated.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us the cities you're in?
All 8? Oh, now you're testing our knowledge. So we
Yeah.
got West Branch, East Tawas, Oscoda, Bay City, Saginaw, Kalkaska, Lake Orion, and soon to be Oxford.
Horton Lake?
Holton Lake is no longer.
Oh, jeez.
I apologize about that.
Previously in Goodrich?
Any other questions for these two fine gentlemen?
Would you want to be in the back making pizzas with you?
Do you want to come join us?
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan.
Oh,
in the back.
Jordan.
We can make it work. We can make it work.
I'm not sure if we want Jordan back there, folks.
Just want to go up there Friday night and mention your name up at East Tawas?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask for Paul.
As for Paul or Alexis, they should be running the show.
That's right.
I
We have
moved,
another house up there, so.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
I moved to approve the assignment and/or transfer of the management, the 925 Lapeer Legacy Entertainment liquor license from 925 Lapeer Legacy Entertainment to Galea Ventures effective January 12th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne.
And
Roll
I
call.
have a question.
Oh, you have a
I
question?
just want to make sure that the license continues to be non-transferable, or it can't be moved out of our township.
Out of our township, that's exactly what
That
it still
continues.
will continue.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yes, and this does have approval, has to have approval of the Liquor Control Commission in Lansing also.
Right.
So we're the first step, they've already applied, we've met them and have been going through this. So we have that in. Thank you, Margie. Any other questions? Roll call?
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes, and Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Welcome aboard,
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you so much,
Yay.
greatly appreciate it, can't wait to welcome you in.
Thank you. Glad to get rid of Jordan and Todd.
We'll figure some way back.
Thanks, guys. All right, item 11C. Pitney Bowes, buyout or lease or purchase of mail machine, Supervisor Curtis. Board members, about 2 months ago, we started taking over the equipment leasing and buying and maintenance into the supervisor's department. Joe relentlessly, I mean, he held back hard to get this up, and I can see why. We have been trying to work for months with the Pitney Bowes people to determine a buyout price for the mail machine or determine an extended lease. We just purchased new equipment, new supplies for it, and our contract runs up January 31st. Well, we don't want our mail machine, somebody coming in the postage machine, to be taken out on February 1st. So I'm looking for this board to approve a purchase or a lease with a postage meter from a postage meter supplying company not to exceed $35,000 or lease one for approximately $500 per month. We are fed up, we're tired, we have 20 emails. I've made phone calls as much as yesterday and the weeks prior. Pitney Bowes is being non-responsive, and we're up against the wall. Like I said, I don't want our machine taken away and then left us without. So I need to have the approval to buy one or lease one effective February 1st. And in order to do so, according to our rules, we would have to have a bid go out, then we would have to approve the bid, then it would go out, then it would come back in, then we would get the bid approval, and then we would go out for purchasing. We're looking 6-7 months possibly with the way this is headed. So I'm looking to, for approval to purchase or lease up to $35,000 or approximately $500 a month lease for a postage mailing machine.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve of the purchase or lease up to $35,000, approve of a $500 renewal for a postage meter machine at the Oxford Township offices.
I second that.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Charles. Questions? Clerk Wright.
I was wondering, when's our lease up on this one?
January 31st.
So January 31st, they're not gonna cut us off from service.
That's what we have, Danielle and I have been working on. There is no magic net connection with Pitney Bowes. I don't know if the machine just self-destructs on January 31st, but they're gonna start calling us when we don't pay a bill, and we will get some action. But I can't hamstring the township treasurer or clerk's department in our mailings by extending this bargaining process out.
From experience, I say the sooner you get rid of Pitney Bowes, the better off you're gonna be.
I would agree with that.
Okay, Clerk Wright, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the process that'll be used, you'll go out and solicit companies to find prices? And
Yes.
figure out-
Danielle and I will work with anybody who has a postage meter that meets our requirements, and we will have the best price utilized with the best service agreement, whether it's purchase or lease, up to that amount.
And is Pitney Bowes an option still? Or
Well, they have to be an option because we've got their assets sitting in our mailroom.
So you'll shop this starting tomorrow then?
Yes. Any other questions? Roll call?
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Curtis?
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Trustee Colvin?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Yes.
Trustee Charles?
Yes.
And Trustee Noel?
Yes.
All right, thank you. More work for me. 11D, Capital Improvement Committee. You know, tonight, board members, you heard a lot of things that need to be done in our township. We have been honing our budget process. Our wages this year were budgeted. Our everything we do, we try to budget so that we have an expenditure balancing with revenue, and we're trying to do our food list. But it's been brought to our attention by this board, some of the township staff, and even residents, that some improvements need to be made in our building and grounds. I'll take these chairs for an example. The table in the conference room, our sign out front. We have our parking lot that is cracked and gapping some inches, 4 to 5 inches in some areas. So I want to get them all on a list, and I want to get them prioritized so that that list can be recommended to the township board for the expenditure for a capital improvement, so that we all know we have to do this in this order. Sort of like what the fire department does. We have an ambulance, it's gonna be 200,000 miles, we have to do it on this date, we're gonna do it then, we need to order it then. But we need to be cognizant of what's going in the budget and what is a priority to be done. So what I wanted to do was to form a capital improvement committee to sit down and capture all the items on the list. So I can do a question now, Trustee Charles, if you'd like.
Sure. Does that include landscaping?
It can, sure. And when you say that, what do you mean?
Like
Rip
the
out?
entrance coming in out here.
Yes, yes.
I move to appoint Supervisor Jack Curtis, Trustee John Knoll, and Trustee Catherine Colvin to the Capital Improvement Committee.
Second?
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Knoll. Are there any questions? Seeing none, roll call, why not?
Supervisor Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Noel.
Yes.
Trustee Colvin.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
And Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes. Jake, any suggestions, we send them to you,
Just send them to me.
and you'll filter it out?
Yes, no, I got a better idea.
Send them to Danielle.
Okay, send it to Danielle, if you got any ideas.
Thank you.
COD.
I heard a giggle out there.
Giggled out.
Yeah, that's
I
probably.
already knew what was gonna happen, so.
All right. Items removed, number 12, items removed from consent agenda, we have none. Item number 13, public comment. Any public would like to make a comment at this time? You can come on up to the mic and make it. I see none. Board of Trustee comments. I will start this week with Trustee Colvin.
Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great holiday and welcome to our new businesses. I love cheese down in McLaurin, so I'm looking forward to it close by. So, thanks. That's all.
And Happy New Year to everyone. I would just like to mention to the board and like to have the conversation about, we managed to miss a whole year of making a MERS payment last year. I'd like to make sure that we visit that sometime real soon in this year's budget. I don't think we made a payment to MERS last year.
Did,
We made the 24 too for soil lake taxes.
no, we made a couple. Let's go back, Margie, I'll look into that. I
Okay.
thought,
We're not
we
supposed to
moved
have a
five.
conversation about
Yeah.
it, so
Yeah, in the budget,
I'm
we
just gonna
moved,
throw that out there.
yeah. That it?
Yep.
Okay, Trustee Noel?
Well, the start of this year, the township's gonna be actively involved in the waste hauler. It's a big undertaking, and all of the board has been very supportive, and I look forward to having that resolved at the end of the year.
Okay, Treasurer Ferrari?
NOHADS is looking for sponsors for the upcoming collections this year. If you know anybody, a business that would like to help them out, please contact Whitney Callio at the county. That's all I have. Sponsors.
Okay. Clerk Wright?
At our last meeting, it was brought up about suggestions for ARPA projects. To date, I have not received any. I don't know if Trustee Noel or Trustee Payne's received any, but if you do have any, let us know. We're meeting on the 25th, I believe it is. we'll be going over that for maybe a recommendation at the February 8th Township Board meeting. Next item is, maybe Trustee Charles has seen this, maybe he hasn't, but an email came through today at 4:39 PM from Linda Stout. For those who don't know Linda Stout, she is the contractor we approved to do the spongy moth spraying. And her email reads as follows. Christine Hahn and myself surveyed the 9 areas identified in our January 4, 2023 meeting. That was a meeting that Trustee Charles, myself, Gary Gibb, Christine, and Linda had for identifying areas that we thought we wanted to look at for spraying of the moths. We found no acres that qualify for spraying. We did find numerous old egg masses in every area, except we found neither old or new on Coates Road, Bar Road, south of Harmony Hills, including White Hawk Drive and Barwood Trail, and Oakwood Lake Park. We surveyed 1830 Cobblestone Lane. We talked to homeowner Larry Rosner. As you may know, Cobblestone Lane was sprayed last year privately by homeowners. We also found numerous, but only old egg masses there. And she lists a couple areas to watch for next year, but it sounds like based on this email, there'll be no recommendation to move forward with the spraying for 2023. So unless there's phone calls that come into the township, it sounds like I think it's money well spent to have an independent person come through and confirm all this. Last item I want to discuss with the board is committees and their duties and responsibilities. Because in fairness to the township and the committee members, we need, in my opinion, we need to better define what a committee meeting is. We're assigned committees to the township board level. We have roughly 25 committees that are assigned to various board members, trustees, and itself. So a couple things that come to my mind is, for example, on the 18th, I believe, there's going to be an open house for my home's rezoning, and board's been invited. So the question is, if a board member or trustee goes that qualifies for committee pay, should they be paid for that? That's not defined by this board whether or not they should be paid. They're spending their time to actually step up and do some work for the township. So if they were to submit that for reimbursement, should that be a paid item? Another item would be MTA. Should trustees get paid if they're going to MTA for reimbursement as a committee level? You're going for a learning experience, you're coming back with knowledge to the township, so is that something that should be a payable expense? So I just feel like we need to define the parameters of how somebody should be paid because they are expending their time, but it's not necessarily a set committee meeting itself. And also it would assist payroll so that they would know whether or not the person should be paid or not. Sometimes I get asked the questions like, I don't know, should there or shouldn't there? I have my own opinion, but it's not for me to say for the most part. So that's my comments on committees. Thank you.
Okay.
All set.
Thank you. Trustee Charles?
I know you guys are upset that we won't be talking about gypsy moss for a while, or spongy moss, but I guess our committee, on all those meetings, did a pretty good job of squashing those bugs, so. And I'm pretty happy with what we accomplished. One solution to what Mr. Wright brought up would be possibly a fixed pay for trustees, just as a possibility. Margie, I agree with what you said there about contributions to MERS. It's been on my mind too, since we have some cash and we looked at it, we can still bring up the funding a little bit. Fourth item here, DDA, we've been working on things. We have a bid in right now to purchase the trolley. Myself, Catherine, the rest of the DDA board met at a, what do you call those impromptu board meetings Friday afternoon to authorize our director to put bids into the state of Michigan. So that's an ongoing process. We will find out next week if we win the bid to buy our trolley, and hopefully we do.
God, we could call it the engineer sharp trolley.
If he was willing to kick in some money, I would be willing to do that. Would it fit under a bridge?
Yeah. Anything else, Trustee Charles?
Nope, that is it.
Yeah, I've got 4 things. One, I just want to let everybody know that business owners who live in the community can work on any committee they'd like if they raise their hands. Zoning Board of Appeals, Planning Commission. They can also run for office, trustee, supervisor, treasurer, clerk, so welcome to the community, but don't feel like you can't help run the government, local business owners. I got a call from our friends at Corwell today. They signed the easement agreements for the SAD. They were overnighted. We should have them in the morning. ARP funds, we are still looking for suggestions to the committee. I'm just gonna reiterate what Curtis said. We have none. So when we move forward with things we need to do, and you haven't sent your wish list in, that's why it's not considered. The last thing is January 26th, I go to Lansing. I've been fighting to get on the agenda with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The only time anyone can speak at the CON Certificate of Need meeting is in public comments. We are not, they don't work for us. They work for the hospitals, they work for the healthcare plans, and our state allows them to keep the public from being on the agenda. But relentlessly, I will go there and still try to sell the story. I cannot get an agenda until 7 days prior to the meeting unless I FOIA it. So I can't ask somebody to go help and support us on this certificate of need request until 7 days before. But you know, Matt, I'd kind of like you to go with me, personally because you got a company vehicle. But secondly, you know, no one, our speeches to these doctors and healthcare professionals have them have an understanding of where Oxford sits in the healthcare community. They need to know that our community is very much underserved, and our residents are really still demanding, but we are still fighting for the certificate of need. So I know there's a couple of trustees that want to go up there. I welcome you to go because you'll see a process that is unreal. That's all I had. I look for item number 15.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Treasurer Ferrari, a second by Trustee Payne. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none. Thank you very much.